T. Ray Brower here with Corinne Andrews, and we're going to find out some more about a lot of different stuff coming up next. And how are you this morning, Corinne?
I'm awesome. How are you today?
Just another day in real estate paradise.
I bet. Well, at least we're not being rained upon so much. I know we need the water, but a little break to dry things out just a hair will is much appreciated.
Very, very much
Yeah.
appreciated. I can only agree with that 100%. This weekend was daughter's birthday.
Oh.
And so we went over to Oakville and did a little wine tasting at Silver Oak,
Oh,
and
very
then
nice.
went to Mustard's for
Okay.
dinner and had a
Very
great
nice.
time. But it was we left town. It was okay. We got partway there and it rained really hard. And while we were in the winery, I don't know, it's pretty soundproof in there. So, but came out to a rain and then rained on and off all the way back home. So,
Oh gosh. Yeah. No, I just hunkered down inside, did inside things. So I know I snuck in a walk on Sunday, but that was about it.
well, you got a 3-day weekend, unlike some of us.
Yeah, I did a few things on Monday, but for the most part, I wasn't working. It's true. Yes,
Yeah,
nice little break. Yeah.
yeah. So our last interview really blew it up. I mean, wow, we got all kinds of people commenting and found out some things about you, some things I already knew, like nickname Candy. Where did that come from?
Oh, well, I have a couple of gals that I hike with, and gosh, I'm not even sure how long we've been doing this. Over 10 years.
Okay.
And it started with some folks from a local marketing group here in Livermore. And one of the guys was like, hey, we're doing a Half Dome at Yosemite. And this one friend of mine talked me into doing that. And so we started hiking all over the place and trying to get, in shape. And so anyway, I will tell you that we went, gosh, I'm not sure what year it was, but it's been a while. It's been more than 10 years ago. And we went all the way up to the base of Half Dome. If you're familiar with the hike, there's cables that you hold on to go up the last
Right.
leg to get to the very, very top. Well, I got to that point and I didn't like the looks of that. So the people I was with, they went to the top and I waited. But the next year, when I hit the big 5-0, we did go to the top, and up there I'm holding a banner, that says happy birthday. And so that was on my 50th birthday, but I have been on numerous hikes. But anyway, during all these hikes in Yosemite and other places, Mount Diablo, I don't know. We've been all. I feel like we've been all over California, and we have little nicknames for ourselves. And so mine is Candy, and there's Sherry Baby, and Cupcake. And so, we'll stop and get a coffee, and there'll be like name, and my friends shout out Candy. So anyway, it's just a silly nickname.
So our first hike, me and my wife, we were up in Oregon at we went over to Sisters. We were staying in can't say it right now, right outside of Bend anyway. And we went over to Sisters, and we had done the whole Sisters thing. They got a whole bunch of shops and what have you, and we'd done that whole thing. We took off, and there's a sign that says lake. So I turned and went to the lake. And you drive down the road, and then you get to a dirt road, and you drive 4 or 5 miles on the dirt road, and you open up to this big, beautiful lake.
Oh.
And we are driving around, and there's a little fishing shop. It's got some boats to rent and a dock. And went in, and there's an old 60s hippie in there. Boy, I mean, right straight out of San Francisco hippie, right? Blah, 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 buy a soda. And he says, so you guys come up to do the hike? And I said, the hike? I didn't know nothing about a hike. I came to see the lake. Lake's pretty. I said, what hike? And he says, Mount Tam, right there. And I
Oh,
went,
God.
Mount Tam? Never heard of it. He says, well, step out. And it's straight up, right?
Yeah.
I go, yeah, no. He goes, no, really, it's not a bad hike. You enter down over here, and it's just a little short, pretty flat all the way up. But when you get to the top, when you get right up there, on a clear day, you can actually see whatever the first mountain is in Canada.
Wow.
And I went, really? Yeah. And I said, but it's not a bad hike. He said, no, it's about 3 miles up, but it's all pretty flat. There's nothing really too serious. So we decided that the next day, that's what we were going to do. And we got there, and it was a beautiful, clear day, and saw Canada and met a bunch of people that had made it up there. And another guy says, oh, you need to go up a little bit further. And there's the glacier. And then you're right next to the Three Sisters. And we did that.
Wow.
It was beautiful. Right?
Oh.
So we come back home, and it's 2 or 3 years later, and I had a transmission shop. I think I've mentioned that to you.
Mm-hmm.
So my really good buddy's brother was working for me as a manager, and he'd go out with me and my buddy every once in a while and play golf. And he said, this summer, we're going to go hike Mount Diablo.
Oh.
And I went, okay. Okay. Mount Diablo is a pretty good hike until that last, what is it, mile?
It's yeah, you're at, I want to say it's 4,300 feet.
Yeah.
And I've done it a bunch of times. That was one of our practice places before doing something really long in Yosemite. But it's just gorgeous. And if you happen to start out when it's foggy, you eventually get above the fog. And then, you have quite the spectacular view. But yeah, you have a 365-degree view of the Bay Area from up there. Yeah.
It's very cool.
It's not for the faint of heart. It's a long hike. It's long. And yeah, the last little bit is pretty steep. Yeah. But
pretty steep?
Yeah.
You're 4,300 feet, you go 3,300 feet, and the last 1,000 feet is like this.
It's a good practice for Half Dome.
Yes, I can appreciate that.
And think of what it's going to look like this summer in Yosemite for Yosemite Falls. I'm telling myself I got to get up there. There'll be so much water. It'll be just unbelievable. All the falls will be beautiful this year.
Yeah. We are going to have a spectacular fall, fall season.
Yeah, it will.
Well, very good. So, and I also, want to let everybody know that you are the baking lender. I make some amazing looking cakes and things.
Oh, thank you. That's fun. I was just talking to a coworker. He has a daughter that's about 8. And I said, I have not experimented yet with what they call a Barbie doll cake. So you make a cake kind of in a dome shape, and there's a Barbie you poke in the middle and then frost it to make it look like a dress and all. And I've never done that. And my daughter's 34 years old, so she's not interested in that. But one of my coworkers is. So that's my next project. They're really cute, really cute.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Anyway.
So what is happening with the lending industry? And looks like we're having rates kind of soften a little bit.
Ticked down a little bit in the last week, which is good. Like I was saying last week, we're not going to see a big reduction until we see inflation lower. But I do have I think it's very exciting news, especially for first-time home buyers. So, last week we talked about the 3-2-1 buy downs, which is a method to have the seller pay to have your interest rate reduced for a certain amount of time on the loan. But today there's even more exciting news for, in my opinion, first-time home buyers. So a lot of people think, oh, a first-time home buyer, that's somebody who's never owned a home. The technical rule is someone who has not owned a home in the last 3 years.
Right.
And if there is more than one person purchasing the home, spouse, partner, whatever it might be, only one of them has to be a first-time home buyer to qualify for some of the benefits that are out there. So that's people, I don't think most people realize that there's different ways to do things. But there have been some changes, some advancements, some programs where you can, as a first-time home buyer, not everybody has perfect credit. Not everybody has 20% down. Not everybody's got a parent that's going to give them a big chunk of money. And so, you don't have that magic 20% down. And so if you have less than 20% down, and even if you have some credit blemishes, there are now programs that you will get the same interest rate that somebody who has perfect credit and who has 20% down. And because of the way loans work, if you're someone who doesn't have 20% down and you're buying a condo and you've got some credit blemishes, the rate is going to be higher than somebody with that perfect scenario. So right now, you can actually get the same deal as somebody with that 800 FICO and 20% down if you are a first-time home buyer. And that's huge, because you could combine getting a better rate, the best rates, along with a 3-2-1 buy down and getting a credit from the seller, and you've got yourself a rockin' deal going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
A rockin' deal. Yeah. So, and I think we've all seen in the news that home sales have slowed down, which means the buyer has a lot more negotiating power. A year ago, you were thrown in the pool with 30 people trying to buy the same house, and odds are, you were not going to get that. Only one out of the 30. But now you've got a lot less buyers in the pool, and you've got sellers who are going to have to negotiate. It's a different market, and it's a lot more fair. It balances out. Instead of being like this, you've got a balance between the buyer and the seller. So I think it's a great time. And if people are, interested and they're first-time home buyers in, looking at something, it's definitely the time to look at that. Absolutely. It's really gonna help those first-time home buyers.
Right. And like you said, first-time home buyer is just somebody that hasn't owned a home in 3 years. So
Exactly.
That is exciting news all the way around. And I would agree with you. A balanced market for anything, whether it's homes or cars or Barbie cakes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it's balanced, everybody feels a lot better than when it's the buyer or the seller. Either way has a higher advantage.
Right.
It always makes the person on the low side feel like they've been taken advantage of.
Yeah. Because it's especially, we've seen, well, I've seen a lot, and I know you have too, a lot of these markets where it's very one-sided instead of being more balanced. It's not fun if you're not on the winner side.
On the winner side, yeah, exactly.
It just, it doesn't. Yeah, that's how that works. So I think that's great. And we're calling it the combo rate reduction program. So you can get, the 3-2-1 buy down, and you can get as good as rate as if you had perfect credit and a lot of money down. I mean, that is great.
Cool. And that's on any loan? Is
conforming
that only
loans.
FHA? Conforming loans, all conforming loans. So within the limit.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then if you're in, and this is a technical term, a high balance county, like Alameda County has a higher loan limit than, say, San Joaquin or Stanislaus County. So those limits for the first-time home buyer are higher than some of the other counties. And every county is different. In fact, I have to go to a website and look up a county if I need to know what it is, because it's just different. Sacramento's different. You know, all the counties, Butte, just on and on.
Right. Maybe you could explain to people what that conforming loan actually means.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't.
Sure. So in the world of lending, the that's what they call it, quasi-government agencies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they make pretty much all the rules when it comes to lending up to certain dollar limits. And I'm just going to round it off. But right now, the conforming, it's referred to as the conforming limit, and it just went up in January, is a maximum, and again, I'm rounding off, $726,000. So if you are borrowing up to that dollar amount, your underwriting procedures and rules to purchase a home follow their guidelines. And then if you are in, and so 726 is the baseline. And then if you are in what's called a high balance, in other words, it goes above that $726,000, like Alameda County, it's all the counties that ring San Francisco. So San Francisco, Marin County, Contra Costa, Alameda, San Jose, San Mateo, and San Francisco. Those are all high cost areas. So you can still use Fannie and Freddie rules and underwriting, but the limit goes higher, and it is, I got it right here, $1,089,000. So let's just call it $1 million. So that's what conforming loan limits are. So if you're borrowing more than that, you're in what's referred to as the jumbo range. Now, jumbo is a whole nother animal. And Fannie and Freddie do not make rules for jumbo loans, but banks do. So banks, any of your common everyday banks do, they do conforming lending, plus they do jumbo lending. And every bank makes their own rules. They are not the same from bank to bank to bank to bank. And so when we're looking at jumbo, we have to look at each individual bank that we work with, because they're all different rules. So it gets a little more complicated. It just takes more work to figure out the underwriting guidelines. They're similar, but they're not identical, and they have little weird tweaks. Especially here in the Bay Area, we have a lot of people who work in the high-tech world. Their income is based on salary. They may get stock bonuses. Only partial parts of it can be used in the income, employment requirements, how long you have to be there. If you're here from another country, everybody has different rules on what type of visa and work information you have to have. So there's just a lot of little moving pieces, where conforming, it's pretty standard throughout the industry. Jumbo is another animal.
Okay. No. Very, very interesting.
That
very good.
That was the long answer of the.
I mean, we got to say all the words so that people understand, and that was a great explanation. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'll just throw in that VA loans, so loans for veterans, someone who's been in the service, any of the services, and then FHA, those are also two other completely distinct animals all to themselves. Their rules do not fall under anybody else's rules. They have their own set of guidelines, documents required, and what the underwriting rules are. They're an animal all to themselves. Great programs, but they're different than the Fannie and Freddie deals.
So does the new speak Ray? Does this new program apply to FHA and VA also, for giving them the higher credit score? And
that's under Fannie and Freddie. That's only for Fannie and Freddie. The buy downs that we talked about last week are Fannie, Freddie loans, so all the conforming loans, plus FHA and VA.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So first-time home buyer, but not first-time home buyer FHA or VA.
Correct.
Very good.
Right.
Very good.
And then, I mean, and I know that would be more technical, and that would be a whole nother long conversation, but the rules for FHA and VA are very geared towards a first-time home buyer. They allow for a lot of credit hiccups, very low down payments. They're much more liberal in their underwriting guidelines. They really are. They're built. They're made to get somebody in a house.
Right.
They allow for lots of odd things.
Stuff. Stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes that stuff is an interesting process to get through.
Well, there's no two files that are alike. It's true. There's no two borrowers that are alike. Everybody has a different story, a different circumstance, how they get paid, who they might work for, who's helping them out with money. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
On and on and on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It
Which
does.
makes our job interesting all the time.
And then it changes all the time.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
got to keep on top of the changes. Yeah.
that is very, very true.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Corinne, or Candy, or it has been a very informative conversation today. Really appreciate you. Anybody needs any questions answered about any of that, Corinne's information's been scrolling across the bottom. Feel free to reach out to her at any time. Also, you all go out and be the sunshine in somebody's rainy day, and never forget to see Ray to find your perfect home. We'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks.
Thanks so much.